Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Hope everyone's having a pleasant day. It's Friday and more like Fry-yay when it comes to the coin hobby. Yeah, we're going to go out and, do a little hunting. I like to take moments, throughout my video content making career, just taking the time to focus on one particular series and really kind of discuss in a bubble, some of the things that we could look for. Today, we're going to focus on one of the biggest programs, bar none, in the last 50 years of minted coinage from the U.S. Mint. The 50 state quarters, also known as the Statehood Quarter Series. It has a few names. But we're going to take a look at all of the different varieties that you could find for this particular series. Now, a lot of the varieties that we're going to look for are what we call cherry picker's guide varieties. These are kind of the more recognizable or more well-known varieties. And ideally, when any coin makes it into the cherry picker's guide, and at this point, the cherry picker's guide is kind of a fable because the company that is supposed to be producing these for resale, well, they're, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of mystery. It's kind of a guessing game as to what's going on and why these books aren't being produced. And folks have had to kind of settle to buy older volumes and editions and things like that off of online, whether it's on eBay or forum sites or Amazon, and you'll notice that the prices for these books are through the roof right now. Sometimes you have to pay $80 to $100 or more for a book, and it's not necessarily the most recent edition of that book. So the Cherry Picker's Guide is, bar none, one of the most important guidebooks to U.S. Mint varieties, that spans from the smallest denomination, half cents, going all the way up into gold and commemoratives. And we're going to talk about those particular Cherry Picker's Guide varieties for the Statehood Quarter Series. Now, the good news is, because of the size of this particular series of coins, there is only a few of these Cherry Picker's Guide varieties that are recognized. However, don't let it stop there, because there are scores of various other varieties that aren't recognized in the Cherry Picker's Guide variety. And of course, you can see we're on PCGS's website, where we're going to be able to take a look at the Cherry Picker's Guide varieties and see those up close. And that's all they'll have on there. They're not going to have just the regular kind of like the Wexler varieties, which aren't recognized on PCGS, as those are a little bit more minor. They haven't been granted, knighthood to become a Cherry Picker's Guide coin. But the theory is the Cherry Picker's Guide varieties are the most important varieties to look for in any series, and because of that, they're worth the most amount of money. So we're going to take a look at the few known Cherry Picker's Guide varieties for Statehood Quarter Series. And starting out 1999, Delaware, of course, it looks like there's nothing really here to note. Although people do like finding the spinning horse errors, which are simply just little die cracks. Those, believe it or not, have a little bit of a secondary market value. I've seen them sell for as low as $5, and they go up from there depending on condition and the size and severity of the die crack coming out of the horse's mouth. But when we're looking at Cherry Picker's Guide varieties, you see the PCGS numbers here. These are catalog numbers. We're going to focus on the listings that have a plus symbol next to them, which means that there is a recognized variety for that particular date. So through 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2003, there are none. All right? Which I am a firm believer that from this 1999 to 2003, it's kind of an undersearched series for varieties. So that's something for you guys to consider looking for brand new varieties in that particular date range. Now, the first major one that we're going to come across was one that was met with all sorts of I mean, this particular 2 coin variety, the Wisconsin high leaf and low leaf varieties, was met with such skepticism, and people were really wondering if these were actual mint errors or if they were done intentionally. My personal feeling is I think they were done intentionally, and you'll see here why in a second. But you have the low leaf and you have the high leaf, and as you can see, there's a little plus symbol. So we'll touch those here right momentarily. But take a look at the prices on this. A lot of green up arrows. These coins have shot up quite significantly, especially nicer graded examples are going to command a lot more money today. These are following kind of like that same trajectory as the 1983 Lincoln Cent Double Die Reverse, the same way with the Double Deer 84 Lincoln Cent, and a few others. These things are incredibly popular, and people will pay the most amount of money for highly presentable mint state condition coins that have great luster and look clean. But these are graded, but you'll find that even non-graded examples of these coins are selling particularly well in this market that we're in right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at the low leaf. So we'll go ahead and, that's going to introduce a whole other row here where it says extra low leaf. We're going to go ahead and click that particular hyperlink to go in here. So this one is referred to as the FS5902. That's Cherry Picker Sky variety, also called the Favaz Stanton variety number or catalog number. So on these ones, you're going to notice that right here, there's an extra leaf I mean, this is not by mistake. This thing looks like it was hand engraved in there. All right. So that looks, well, wait, no. Yeah, my computer froze for a millisecond. But that particular design was actually added to the die for the reverse. So that's something to look out for. Of course, the most spectacular graded examples they put on PCGS's website, and these are the plate coins that they use for showing the examples of these varieties and various coins in these respective grades. So the low leaf variety is the one that you want to look out for. Now here's a AU58 example. This one looks like it's seen, a few pockets and change purses in its time, but you can see that same low leaf. Now this is a variety that you could see with the naked eye. That's the good news, because people are hung up for whatever reason on not wanting to buy a small jeweler's loupe or a magnifying glass or even a microscope for whatever reason. I'm like, dude, invest $8 to $10 and use it. It's one of the most important tools that you can ever use in this hobby. But even the coins in this condition right here sell for easily $100 to $150 in AU condition, which says a lot. This is, again, the market is just through the roof on these. The high leaf variant of the same coin will show a completely different engraved line that makes up that extra leaf. If you see right here, you see the curved engraved line right there to the left of the corn leaf or husk or whatever you want to call it. That is the high leaf. The high leaf examples are more tougher to find. Therefore, they command a little bit more money. Now, the story behind both of these coins is that they were released into a specific geographical area of the United States. Now, keep in mind, these all have Denver mint marks on them, so those are the only ones that you will have to look through. Don't look at the Philadelphia. It doesn't matter, but these coins today are being found all across the country. But at the time of release, 18 years ago, these were released in the Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma region of the United States. And that was, for the most part, where a lot of these were discovered early at the onset of this discovery. And it was, again, if you guys should have been a fly on the wall when these things were first, had its bit of press. through Coin World and all the forum chat pages and all that stuff. Now we're talking 2004, but news traveled fast, and people were just like, at the time, they were dismissing this as an actual variety because it looks too perfect to be, something like a double to die or something. But these, I firmly believe, were intentionally done, transitional type of reverses, showing the difference in leaves. So I think they're pretty cool. These again are still being found in pretty nice numbers out there. So the next one that we have here is a 2005P Minnesota Extra Tree Varieties. Again, here are your respective values across the mid-state grades. When we hit the plus sign, and of course, there's a, let's see, this one here. DDO number 1, which is, I don't think this one I remember as it being not, there's not even a photo showing this variety. This one is rather unspectacular. This one might be delisted one day from the Cherry Picker's Guide. But the Extra Tree Varieties, if you find the right ones, now they have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, it skips 4, it goes to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's a few Favaz Stanton Cherry Picker's Guide varieties for the Extra Tree Minnesotas. Okay, which, as you can see, there are some that are more scarcer than the others. Like take for instance this DDR number 13. The coin is desirable and a little bit more scarce when they are worth a lot more money, even in the lower grades. Like look at Mid-State 63. We're talking about coins that are $70, $80 in this grade, but even they keep going up from there. And 66 is $425, whereas this DDR number 10, okay, at Mid-State 66 is a $600 coin, but when you look at the lower grade levels, they're cheap. So this is obviously a coin that has more of it, more going for it at the highest grade levels than it does any other grade, therefore making it the less spectacular looking type. So the FS 807 DDR number 12 has the Extra Tree right there. So you can see the tiny little tree that's behind one of the tiny little trees in the background. That is the DDR that you're looking for. But that is kind of like the centralized location on the actual coin where you see a lot of these DDRs. A lot of these are class 9s, given the time frame in which these were produced. These were single squeeze action struck coins. But yeah, this is there are a dedicated amount of people that love the series of Wisconsin or the Minnesota Extra Tree quarters, that they are just they are popularly collected. It looks like the DDR 13 is one of the more popular ones for that type. DDR 25 also looks pretty good. Again, we're looking at values across a more broader spectrum than just say one at the highest grade level where it's like bam, it's $600, but all the other ones are $30-$40. So DDR 35 looks pretty spectacular. Let's take a look at that one. In Mid-State 64, it has a value of $260. So no photograph here. Again, I'm sure PCGS wouldn't mind a coin of that particular DDR to pop up, in the system. They want to see something like that, so that way they could take those photos and use them for their for a plate coin for their website. And oftentimes, if you sprung for the TrueView photos, which is an additional cost, they'll actually use those photos for the actual website attribution, kind of close up. So more DDRs here for the Denver Mint Minnesotas. There's actually a few of them. This one, DDR number 2, it looks to be a much more spectacular coin because it has really nice price levels from like Mid-State 64 all the way up to the highest level. All right, which you can't really say the same thing for a few of these other ones here. Let's see if they have a photo for DDR number 2. Now, it looks like they do. Pretty nice to know that a Denver minted coin will also have a DDR. All right, so some of these can be a little bit tricky. I don't know specifically what this one looks like. I mean, your double tree would be somewhere here in the middle somewhere, and I'm just not seeing it on this one. I might be looking at a completely wrong, different thing here, but yeah, usually it'd be like right in this area. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I mean, of course, you guys can easily go on to Wexler's site, doubledie.com, and actually look at close-ups of the DDR for this one, so that way you guys understand that. Me personally, I don't collect or pursue the extra trees for Minnesota for that particular date. So the next one that we have is Wyoming. This is the DDR for this one. So we have the FS801 and the 803. The 801 I'm very familiar with, although I've never found an example of this one. Believe it or not, I know a guy that has found quite a few of these and has sold them for 20 to 30 bucks. But on this particular example, if you look at the little, I guess it's not a stirrup, but where they hold on to the, where the cowboy holds on to that little doodad, yeah, you guys know what I mean. The saddle, the little handle on the saddle will have a little bit of a DDR on there. It's not spectacular, but it's there. And these only exist on Philadelphia minted examples. Higher graded examples, of course, is the big power play here. So if you do come across these still in mid-state condition, always flip them over and look at that little handle on the saddle area, and that'll give you everything you need to know. All right, so we have one more page. We're already up to 2008. And that's it. I mean, those are the major ones. But when you look at things like Alaska, the Alaska coinage, even though they're not cherry picker's guide varieties, there are a few types that have the six, what they call the 6 claw on the bear, which is simply just a small die chip. So there's little things like that can be found here. Another thing that I wanted to point out before I let you guys go, again, that was pretty quick. We had the high-low leaf, we had the Minnesota DDR reverses. There's even the DDO for the Philadelphia minted example. There's also the Wyoming doubled saddle handle variety. But let's talk a little bit about what you should do if you find any of these. The market is really strong, specifically for the Wisconsin quarters. If it's a coin that you had found right out of circulation, my personal recommendation is just sell it as is. Don't grade it. Don't do nothing. Don't incur the extra expense of sending that thing off to PCGS or NGC. You're just going to be wasting and pissing away your money. You don't want to do that. Those are a really easy flip on the secondary market. My personal favorite e-commerce platform to use always is eBay. There are some of you that are just anti-eBay, and I get it. You have your reasons. I don't have any reason to hate eBay. All right, they have treated me well and have made me a lot of money by selling on that platform. So it's more of a scratch my back, I scratch yours collaborative relationship with eBay there in that regards. But eBay, bar none, best website to sell these coins at. And, personally, I would put them up for like $5 beginning bid and just let it rip for 7 days. And then you're going to end up selling these. Pictures are paramount. So make sure you have, because a lot of our smartphones today, whether you have like an iPhone 13 or 14 or whatever the newest edition is, they can get up extremely close and provide high quality, high definition photography close-ups of any doubled die that you could find. I suggest that you use your phone's capability to do that. Just make sure your little lens is clean, because you would not believe how many people try and take photos and they come out very smudgy and out of focus, and that's because they got a fingerprint right on the lens. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, the Minnesota quarters and all that stuff, those sell better in mid-state condition. Lower graded examples, there's not a whole lot of market. You might be able to sell them for $5 or $6 at the most. But outside of that, a lot of the desirability for those are going to be in the ultra high grade specimens. So that's kind of like your very narrow look at the Statehood Quarter Series. You guys need to check out doubleddye.com and take a look at all the other varieties that exist that aren't Cherry Picker's Guide, that are just as marketable for these coins. So go ahead and check it out. There's dozens of other attributions. They're all Wexler dye varieties. And always, like I tell you guys, if I tell you to visit a website, bookmark it on your mobile device. So that way you have a quick reference guide to refer to if you're out in the field, you find some coins, and you need to kind of audit, double check what you have with an attribution number. That's a way to do it. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Quick little ditty on the Statehood Quarter varieties. It's kind of narrow for the bigger ones, but there's tons more to look out for along with those errors. Look out for those. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. This was a pleasure talking with you today on this video. You guys take care. Happy hunting. I will see you guys on the next coin video, and that'll do it. So long.